What's up, homies? Welcome back to another comic book review from your boys at Heroes Reforged. We are once again talking about a comic book set in the larger Invincible universe, but it is that great series, the Astounding Wolfman Volume 3. Astounding Wolfman Volume 3 with Mr.
That's
Cecil.
the Mexican Wolfman.
Mr. Cecil Stedman is the character that's actually been added into this little cool little strip of color. Cecil Stedman, which is really neat. So we've been reading everything we could get our hands on Invincible wise. This is volume 3 of 4 of the Wolfman series. First time read for the three of us. Let's jump into overall thoughts. Agustin, first time you read it. How are you digging it? How are you feeling about Wolfman?
I feel so. When you told us we were going to read Wolfman this month, I was like, "Damn, we just read Conquest. I want to go back to Conquest." But this comic didn't make up for it, but it gave us a lot of good, or it gave us a really good backstory for the conflict between Gary and his daughter. And I feel like that was the strongest part of this comic, is that father-daughter relationship breaking and remending, and I felt like that was the heart of this, and I felt like it was earned. I felt like it was done fairly well. I mean, Kirkman did a really good job of coming in and kind of like raking in this story. All the other stuff felt kind of superfluous, like the whole double-faced dude, the face along with the body, and then like that random attack by the werewolves. And then that one werewolf was a part of Cecil's organization. But overall, like, I felt like this gave Wolfman really good heart, something really, really good to attach to. And now I'm rooting for them to team up. Like, are we ever going to see Gary's daughter in the Invincible universe? Who knows? I don't remember her being there.
Because now she's kind of a super-powered character, sort of. There was a cliffhanger panel, cliffhanger page where it's like, oh, is she a vampire? And then the next issue tells you she's not, but she gets enhanced powers by drinking vampire blood. So some interesting stuff there. My overall thoughts are same, dude. I enjoyed this book. I didn't love it, and there was definitely some sort of clunky plot elements as they were happening, where it doesn't. It's tough to describe the pace of an Invincible comic, but when we read one of these paperbacks, it zips through, but the pace is kind of perfect. And with Wolfman, it felt a little start and stoppy in different ways, but I agree also 100%. The core of the story was him and his daughter, and I really liked their mending the relationship at the end, and the conversation where she's like, I'm sorry, I love you. And he's like, I love you too. I just want you to be okay. And I have to go do this and help these people. And then we were given more backstory on Gary as a character and how he became a billionaire, but also he was always kind of a good dude, which I thought was interesting. I thought was really, really interesting. I am now in my life the most distrustful of billionaires that I've ever been, to where the only billionaire I kind of accept is like Iron Man and Batman. That's it. It really is Tony Stark and Bruce Wayne, just because it's so ingrained that it's, in their stories. So when I see his backstory of like, this is how he invested in a band, and I'm like, I'm a little suspicious, and I wonder if Robert Kirkman were to attack this story again today, if he would maybe do it a little bit differently. Not to say that people who have $1 billion can't be good people, but it's such a tough sell for me these days. We just had Bezos.
You're not going to convince me.
You're not going to convince me Bezos at all. Go into space in a penis, and it's like, but dude, you could also like cure world hunger. Like those kinds of issues come up. Anyway,
he said, I'd like to thank my workers and all of you for paying for this. Mother.
Yeah. Yes.
Let's move on before I get too angry. Move on.
But the Astounding Wolfman, it was still a really enjoyable read. I also really like Cecil Stedman in this. Same sort of thing. It's great to get great writing with Cecil and Gary as the Wolfman and all that stuff. And plus, I do love that. So we had the Conquest moment, but before that in Invincible, we had the attack with all the different variant Invincibles, and that story was happening at the same time as this, which was really cool. Like we read that, then we read the flashback stuff on Adam, Eve, and Rex Splode, now that Rex is dead from that Invincible War. Then we're back to Wolfman, which is happening around the same time. Very, very cool. It's just a quick reference, a quick shot of an Invincible with a mohawk flying through the prison, and it's like, oh yeah, I remember seeing Wolfman in a prison jumpsuit. Now we're caught up. So overall thoughts are it was good. Adam, what'd you think, man?
I enjoyed it a lot more than the previous volume that we read. That one was a little clunky and slow for me. But the thing that I think I really enjoyed about this is a lot of the stuff that you guys were talking about, the relationship with the daughter, how they sort of mend that relationship. I do think that even though that this is not, main timeline stuff with Invincible, I like the fact that we got to see a little bit of a different side of Cecil. We've seen him be empathetic to a lot of characters, but as even in the animated series, they do a really good job of convincing maybe newcomers who maybe are not familiar with the comic book or whatever, that there's something shady, perhaps distrustful about Cecil. And in this book, you really see him be compassionate towards Gary and empathetic, and he seems to really want to help him, despite, of course, him always having his sort of own agenda. But I like that a lot. I liked seeing that other shade of the character, and I really feel like you don't get that unless Robert Kirkman's writing it. I think Robert Kirkman always tries to find a way to tie some of these side stories into the timeline, whether it's the actual event itself or whether it's a character moment that if you were to continue reading the main timeline, hopefully at the end or somewhere along the way, there's a moment that is similar or is a little bit of like a piggyback off of what was set up in this. And you can go, oh, this is a payoff. If I read Wolfman, where he's, this type of character here, it's now paid off in this part of the book, which is really, really cool. So I really enjoyed all of that stuff. And yeah, I think turning the page and seeing that the daughter was drinking Zechariah's blood and thinking, oh my God, he turned her. This is not going to go well at all. Then finding out
that was a little creepy.
That was a little creepy. Actually, the moment that I actually loved was when Donald was talking to her. And she kissed him, and he's like, I wasn't expecting that. I'm a married man. She's like, I'm 16. He's like, I'm an android. I'll take you home. Bye. So
that was really weird.
Yeah, I feel like there's these moments that Kirkman is probably like the best at handling. And so it made it really enjoyable for me. I liked all the action stuff, and even though some of the characters, the face character and all that stuff was kind of like weird and interesting, I still enjoyed it enough to want to know more. And so I'm just excited that we got to read this, and I know we only have one more volume left.
I'm excited about that because for whatever my issues with like maybe some of the pacing and stuff in this volume, I'm like, okay, if there's one volume left, that one has got to move. That one has got to, I'm excited to see all of these things kind of wrap up in a way. But I couldn't do it to you, fellas. I could not keep you away from Invincible for another volume. So the next book we're reading is Invincible Volume 13, baby. We're talking Growing Pains. Invincible Volume 13, Growing Pains. Don't look too long at the cover. Could be a spoilie. I don't want to tell you. But that's the next one. We're jumping back into the main Invincible comic series. So read it. Check it out on your Hoopla Comixology. If you wanted to just buy it, digital comics, check out your local libraries. Get those big fatty compilation volumes that these guys are the best hardcovers. Hardcovers are gorgeous. Paperbacks are great. This only retails at $16.99 US. So it's a great deal. But read Invincible along with us. We'll come back in a week. There we go. It's worth it. It's worth it. All the special features, all the extras. Physical media forever, baby. Coming soon. So read it. Check back with us in a week, and we'll talk all about Invincible Volume 13, Growing Pains. Then, and until then, keep reading comics. We'll see you in a week. Bye.
Bye.